Computer. Hey everybody. Hey friends, this is Coach Roger, your Live Younger Longer health coach. And boy, I've got a treat for you today. On the other side of the screen is a young lady by the name of Yvonne Voss, and she lives in Wisconsin, right?
Yes,
Yeah. And up
correct.
there in the cold climate. And I've known her by sight for quite a while, but I really have got to know her in the past couple of months as a colleague and partner in the Juice Plus company. Yvonne, say hello to the folks, and we'll get started here. All
Good morning.
right.
Hi.
Well, as your Live Younger Longer health coach, this past year we've been talking about a lot of things. So we've been talking about diet. I talked to you about trying to make diet a noun, not a verb. We talked about supplements. We've talked about living lean. And that's as a lean certified health coach, that's what I'm all about. And the thing to lately, I've been talking about thriving after 55. I've seen who my audience is and where I'm trying to be because I'm approaching 81 in a couple of weeks, and I feel great. And there's a lot of living to do yet. I've got five five grandchildren out of eight to see graduate from high school yet, and plan on doing that. And just want you to know we talked about supplements as well, and you know that I got to being Ask Coach Roger kind of by accident by a lady on a plane that introduced me to fruits and veggies in a capsule called Juice Plus, which has several other products now. But it has been life changing, and I want you to know from someone else. I want to thrive after 55, and I'll let Yvonne tell you how old she is if she wants to. But I will say this: I've got a daughter almost her age, and she's done things, and she's got quite a story. So I'm going to let her share her story with you and how she got introduced to Juice Plus, and what Juice Plus, the supplement, and the 30 fruits and vegetables and the omega blend has meant to her health. So Yvonne, share away, and uh, the whole thing of not wanting to do this to wanting to do this to being sick to being healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for having me today, Roger. So I was introduced to Juice Plus by a friend who just really cared about me. And at first I was not interested at all. To me, it felt like it was a gimmick. It made sense a little bit that I liked what the product was, but in my season of life, it was just something I just wasn't ready for, I really think. And then I ended up having a lot of health issues. I I had to have a fusion in my back, and the pain of that did not quite go away. And a friend introduced me to the omegas, and as a person who worked in the healthcare field, I was a receptionist for a naturopath and a medical assistant for her, and I worked in a chiropractic office. I knew about supplements, I knew about omegas, and I also knew I didn't like them. I knew I didn't like the taste. I knew I burped them. I knew it was nothing I wanted to be introduced to. And that's how she started with me. And I was like, I'm not really interested in that. And then she said, well, they're plant-based. So I decided, well, I love my friend. My friend loves me. She's trying to help me. I will order them. They weren't very expensive at all. I had spent way more money on other things that I threw away and went rancid. So other omegas. So I decided that I would, as I was thinking, I will take it so I can tell her that it didn't work and be honest with her. She's my friend. I owe that to her. I've got to be honest with her. So I was very religious about taking it. And within 2 to 3 weeks, I noticed a dramatic change. I literally wasn't in pain anymore. Like, no, and I was in 24-hour pain. And then I started thinking, well, that's the only thing I've done different. And then I was intrigued. So maybe the other Juice Plus would help. So I started taking the berries, and because they're good for inflammation, is what the research said. Noticed a difference right away. then I started taking the fruit and vegetable blend. Within 6 weeks of taking that, my husband said to me, who is a marathon runner, never has broken a bone in his life, has never had an injury, no surgeries, nothing. And me, I was living a life of chronic illness, deep chronic illness. Like from the outside, I probably looked like I was fine, but the inside, I was not. My body was very, very nutrient deficient. I wasn't absorbing anything. And so therefore when I started taking Juice Plus, the bioavailability of the product, of the fruits and vegetables being pre-digested, so to say, by being pulverized and put into a powder form, encapsulated, was very bioavailable to my body. And the second that I would take it, it would go right into my bloodstream and go to work. And because my body didn't recognize this, because it'd been years of not having this, it just absorbed it and sucked it up and did wonderful things and started healing my body from the inside out. So within weeks, like I said, I felt better. And then my husband said to me, what are you taking? Can I have some? And I was very selfish. And I said, you can't have mine, but we can order you some. Because I didn't want to run out. I did not want him to start taking it and then I not have enough. And it became one of those things that it was just part of our life. It changed the trajectory of our future, of our 50s, of our thriving. We have, my husband and I are high school sweethearts. We have 6 children, all adults, and we have 14 grandchildren and 4 more on the way. So we have almost 18 grandchildren.
That's incredible. Let me stop you here for a second, because go back to the age group. And
yeah.
For those that have been following me on YouTube, we're talking about thriving after you're 55. Okay, I'm coming up to 81 and got 8 grandchildren. And here's this young lady who's in her, I'll let her tell you the age group, but that's where we got to start thriving. And actually, if you're on this call today or this video, and you're younger than 55, pay attention to this, because this is the key to thriving in your golden years.
So I am 57. I will be 58 this year. And I have to say that other than I have never felt this good in my entire life. I'm not just saying that. I have never felt this good. I've never felt this good of who I am. I think that when your body and your brain and your gut are talking, you're sharper. There's just things that are clicking, that when you are nutrient deficient, and honestly, I did the whole thing where I would buy, you have kids and you feel guilty that you need to go and buy all these groceries, right? And get good fruits and vegetables. And I would do that. I would go and spend all this money. And one week they loved bananas, and I would buy bananas and they'd all be gone in a day. And the next week they were brown and I was making banana bread. Or I was throwing things away. I would buy even when my husband and I were just by ourselves, I'd buy the salad, I'd buy all these things. And we just couldn't eat it, or it rotted before we could consume it. And when you think about what the food in the grocery store is, it's food that was picked before its nutrient, before it was, it was picked before it was in its prime, right? Before it was ripe, before it was full of all the nutrients, because it has to have a shelf life. It's got to be picked. It's got to be processed. It's got to be put on a truck. It's got to be sent to a grocery store. And then how long does it sit in the grocery store? By the time I buy it and then I bring it home and I put it in my fridge for 3 weeks, I am eating rotting food. And when you think about it that way, it's no wonder I couldn't continue to thrive eating that. And so Juice Plus was like a game changer for us. And the funny thing is that my husband, I noticed it right away. He noticed it, but he was still sitting on the fence because he needs a doctor.
This is good. Men, pay attention to what she's telling you.
Me telling him that it's good and the research and all of this stuff, and we see all the positive effects. he needs a doctor to tell him that it's, you know, or somebody to tell him other than me that it is a good thing, right? So he went and had his physical. This was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. My husband, we're the same age. He's 57 as well. But his father passed away when he was, Barry, my husband, was 18 years old. His dad was 40. He had hardening of the arteries, severe at 40. It was a genetic condition. Two other siblings of the seven, so Barry's aunt and two aunts and his dad, died at young ages of this same condition. And so the doctors knew that there was a genetic factor. And so as my husband and his siblings got older, they recommended this blood work, this specific blood work, to look for this protein or, you know, something in his blood. And he ended up, like a year and a half ago, they did that test because of the history. And the doctor, when she called, the blood work showed that he had this gene, and that the level was high, which is what would happen if he had this gene. Then this protein or whatever in his blood would be very high, which would then could be the trigger for his hardening of the arteries. And I will back up to say that he has a younger brother who is 5 years younger than him, who has had a heart attack, bypass surgery, stents put in, and just had he has had to have that, what is it, an ablation, where they go in. Yeah. And he's 5 years younger than my husband. And he doesn't take Juice Plus or anything like that. So, but my husband, the test came back that he had this condition. And so they said, well, you definitely need to get in there, and we need to do a scan. It's a cardiac scan, and they do a calcification scan of everything. And when he went in, they did the scan, and a few days later, the doctor called, and and then the funny thing is, when they found this stuff in his blood work, they called me and said, okay, until he gets the scan, he needs to be on this Mediterranean diet, tons of fruits and vegetables, good fat. Well, we were already doing all of that. And I was like, okay.
That's what a doctor's taking it all. Nobody pays attention.
And I'm thinking, check, we're doing that already. So he goes in and gets a scan, and the results come back, and he had 0.000% calcification anywhere. And so he went in to see the doctor to go over the results, and the doctor said, I see that you take Juice Plus. And Barry said, oh, you've heard of Juice Plus? A lot of people haven't heard of that. And she said, oh yeah, it's amazing. And
say that again. The doctor,
the doctor said it's amazing. And then she looked at him and said, and you want to know one of the reasons why? And he said, yeah, tell me. And she said, the research, it's out of this world. And, awesome. And so for my husband, Mr. Engineer Brain, Mr. I need facts, there was his facts. And now he comes home and he's like, I'm a believer. He's telling all of our kids, why are you not on Juice Plus if you're not on Juice Plus? You better be taking it. You know, we had a daughter, one of our daughters carried her twins full term, taking Juice Plus as her supplement and drinking shakes, as Dr. Odom and Dr. Pohl have, recommended doing. And so it's just changed our lives. It really has changed our lives. We don't go a day without taking Juice Plus. It's a no-brainer. It's a non-negotiable. In life, you have some non-negotiables, right? Our faith is a non-negotiable. God in our life is a non-negotiable. Juice Plus is a non-negotiable.
That's awesome. See this, and as the Live Younger, Longer health coach and Living Lean, Yvonne has just expressed this in spades. Just so important, and she's also a Lean certified health coach. So she's been the gamut. She hasn't shared part of her story where she had gastric bypass surgery and some things like that, but again, I've had clients, customers that they go to the doctor and the doctor says, "What are you doing? Your blood work has totally changed."
Yeah.
So what I did, Yvonne, I thank you so much for this today, and what I needed was another perspective besides the old curmudgeon here, telling you how wonderful this is, and the fact that people don't think my wife and I are in our 80s. They think we're like 65, and heck, 65 was 2 years after I started all this. So,
Yeah.
Yvonne, thank you so much. If there
Well,
one
thanks for
one
asking
other
me.
thing you'd like to tell the audience, go
I
ahead.
would just like to say that, like Roger said, really quick, I did have gastric bypass 20 years ago. Um, Family history of diabetes, depression. I lost my dad to cancer. I had consecutive pregnancies. A lot of things. And one of the things was, I didn't know what I didn't know, and because getting on Juice Plus. So I looked like I had lost the weight, but that was the only part of me that was healthy, was my looks. But deep down, I didn't even realize how unhealthy I was even in my looks until I started taking Juice Plus. And within 4 months, my skin, my hair, my face, I don't have any wrinkles. I mean, I literally don't have. I mean, I don't, and I attribute that to good nutrition. When your cells are healthy, and this is what I tell my kids: when your cells are unhealthy, what do? They duplicate each other. So a cell duplicates each other, and it takes 4 months to get that cell to the top of the that you see it out here. And so when you have unhealthy cells, it duplicates another unhealthy cell. So you'd have layer and layer and layer of unhealthy cells. When I started taking Juice Plus, I started healing at the cellular level. And within 4 months, that's why the changes are so obvious. When I keep flooding my body with that, I keep producing healthy cells. My husband and I used to have red flags all over the place on my blood work. And now I don't, because I was so nutrient deficient. I didn't absorb anything. And one of the bonuses about Juice Plus is that it's so bioavailable. So when I put it in my body was starving for it. It would suck it up and take it and just do what it needed to do. And I'm walking around 6 years later. I'm on to my 6 year anniversary this year. And I'm loving my 50s. I'm loving the way that I feel. I'm glad that I am feel the way that I do with 18 grandchildren. You know, I want to be around for them. Like you were saying, I want to have the energy. I want to be able to get on the floor with them. I want to be able to hold my grandbabies and do things and not be old. I mean, old is really, it's a number. It's how you live. There's things that I know a lot of people who are young and they act old because they don't live. And
And they're afraid. Yeah.
Juice Plus gives me and us, my husband, my family, gives us the nutritional stuff that we need to live our best lives. So I'm thrilled. I will never not take Juice Plus ever.
Yvonne, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And everyone that's watching this, I appreciate you being here. And take it from us, it works. I've been doing this for 18 years, and my wife and I, we won't go a day without it either. We just appreciate you being here. Thanks. God bless. And remember, as
Thank you.
Hippocrates said in the 4th century BC, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Take
Amen.
care. Yvonne, thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.